Hey, I am so excited to be getting on this china cabinet cleanup. I think I've been wanting to do this for months, maybe even a year. It's probably been that long since it's had a really good clean out. And as you can see, it's just been kind of a place I stuff things that I don't know what else to do with. Usually decor related items, sometimes other stuff. You can probably see the sunscreen sitting on that one shelf. So I'm just really happy to finally get this in order and looking nice. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And hopefully you get to see some of my cool knickknacks from over the years that I've been given or have gotten. I've been recording these videos ahead of when I post them and scheduling them for the ability to have more regular posts twice a week on YouTube. So I'm finally starting to feel a little less sick from the last time I filmed. Oh, that little panda thing. I think my friend gave me that at a birthday party a really long time ago. Of course, I got some more puns. I always got the puns. Two can do it. And these are my incense holders. I've got a few of them. There's the second one. And I really need to pick up some more incense. It's been a while since I found a scent that I like, and I used them all up. I always have to use them when my husband's not at home because he doesn't like the smell, but I love the smell. So, yeah, I need to find some that I actually enjoy and get some. It always feels really, cleansing to me. I don't know why. It's probably just a mental placebo type thing, but whatever, it smells good and I like it. I don't know where that fan came from, but I like it. I just think it's pretty. And then I've got a ton of dishes in there that are, I don't know, not stacked so artfully. It took a long time just getting everything out because there was just so much crammed in there. And like I said before in a previous video, this is probably a harder area for me to work on because there's so much sentimental stuff. There were a few things I already took out of it before this, just some photos that I was like, okay, I finally know where I want to hang these up. And yeah, clearly it's not very much. There are still a lot of in there. Oh, kitty tray. Use that when my daughter has a cat party. But yeah, there are just tons of pictures in there that I wasn't sure what to do with. Even at the end, there are a few that I just end up stacking because I don't know how to display them in a way that I want. That's a pretty photo. I think that was taken by a family member. Luckily, these shelves aren't too dirty, so when I wipe them down, there's really not much coming up. I like those heart bowls. But there was a little bit of dust in there, so it needed the wipe down. And then the glass also needed some wiping down, so I got that really clean as well. There's always been this smell in it though, and it's not necessarily a bad smell. Oh, my old dog Trick. It's not necessarily a bad smell, but I don't know. It's a very strong smell whenever I open the cupboards, and I've tried so many times to just air them out and get it smelling better, but I don't know, no luck. I don't know, maybe I would have to spray something specific in there, but then that's more chemicals, so I don't know. Maybe I'll find something someday that'll help I think it's some sort of new furniture type smell, some sort of building byproduct. I'm just getting the glass in the door is really nice. There was some paint from when I repainted these cabinets that was still on the glass a little bit, so I'm still benefiting from my unclipped nails by getting to scrape things up. Kind of makes me want to keep them a little bit long so I can continue with these cleaning. But then that makes me want to just clean everything up, in a row so that I don't have to have these sharper nails for too long. There's a little like random cow cream pourer thing that my daughter and I went around to some of the yard sales in the neighborhood last year, and like, she liked it, and someone just said, "Here, you can have it if you give it a good home." I don't know why she wanted it. Oh, that's my old dog as well. I used to have dogs. I didn't always just have cats. But I end up putting the cow creamer thing in her room because I never really use it. I mean, when I pour cream in my coffee, it's just directly from the creamer container. I don't really understand the purpose of putting it into a whole nother thing that you then have to clean. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I keep that black rose because someone gave that to me at my bio mom's funeral. A good friend from back then, and always makes me think of her. So I like to keep that somewhere. It's always just been kind of up there, like in the back, though, where I can't see it. So I do end up giving it a more upfront placement by the end of this, which is real nice because I like to, I don't know, I like to have my memories out and be able to see them, even when they're not like super happy, thrilling memories. I guess you probably could see that with them if you watched the freezer and fridge cleanup and how to keep that boot magnet on the fridge. One thing I find is there are so many pictures that I want to hang up, especially of family members, and there's only so much space in the house, so I can't fit them all on while keeping an aesthetic that has enough negative space. Like, I don't want all my walls to be covered. I want some walls to be blank because it just makes the rooms feel more open and more relaxing. You know, it's hard when there's a bunch of just like clutter on the walls. Like, I feel stressed looking at it. So I need that negative space. But then I don't know where to hang up all my pictures of people. So I end up putting the sunscreen and lotion and stuff over on the entryway table, just as a kind of easy access. Because my husband works odd hours, and so if he goes to sleep early, I don't want to be going in the bedroom and disturbing him. Those are my cloth napkins I was mentioning in the last video. But I don't want to like go and disturb him in the bathroom and grab, antibiotic ointment or etc., stuff like that. We have a lot of kitty masks. Those are the ones my daughter uses. We have a lot of cat-themed stuff because of her, honestly. So anyway, it's just helpful to keep the like antibiotic type stuff there. My cat's such a dork. That was we lived in another state, and he in our apartment back there would like go in between the screen and the sliding glass door. I'm surprised he never broke anything. I guess he was small enough back then because he was a kitten. That was silly. That was a silly cat. He was so offended this morning because I gave one of the other cats a little bit of tuna from a tuna fish sandwich we made for my daughter's lunch. Well, I should say my husband made it. But anyway, the orange one, he was offended. You haven't seen him on camera yet, just in those pictures I flashed by earlier. And we gave it to the black cat, and the orange one did not like that. I'm like, I'm sorry, you have digestive issues, and you're gonna spew out some really disgusting stuff if we give this to you. But he did lick a little bit of like the remains. So I think he'll be okay from that. He's been okay from that before. I feel bad because like I want to treat them fairly. I actually took like a little, a little class on sibling rivalry because the cats and my daughter sometimes have sibling rivalry, or they used to. She's gotten a lot better with them as she got older. And then the cats are like rivals as well. I love those coasters, by the way. They're this like amethyst stuff. I got them, I think, when I married my first husband. And I just always kept them because they're pretty. Ugh, you know how I was saying in a previous video, if you watch those, that I really hope me scrubbing up the baseboards and getting those, clean, because it had been a while since I scrubbed down the baseboards. How I hoped that wouldn't scrub away all the pest control stuff and lead to bugs. And I saw a roach in our room this morning. I was super disgusted. It was alive. It didn't even look like damaged or anything. So, of course, I told my husband, I'm like, please come find the roach and kill it and get it away. I'm so disgusted. It ran away before I could spray it with anything. But I'm going to have to get some more, I don't know, I guess some sort of DIY pest control to put around the baseboards in the kitchen and dining room. So those are the only rooms I've scrubbed. I don't know why it was in our room. Yeah. I hate bugs. Most bugs I will try my hardest, even though I am super disgusted by them, to just get them outside and not kill them. But there are some exceptions, like roaches and mosquitoes, where I just want them dead. And then my daughter always blames me that she caught my fear of bugs. And then she'll scream when she sees a bug, which I really do not like. Because I'm screaming is for emergencies, not for bugs. But I totally understand that she's super disgusted by them, because I am too. She'll also say that she's scared of them, which we try to educate her on, and why bugs are actually important to the environment, etc. But yeah, that's been kind of a challenge. It's interesting how socially contagious fear is. I remember my husband telling me about this study he read years and years ago about some kind of monkey or ape or whatever that one would be afraid of something, and then they would kind of pass that fear along to other of the group that had never had the bad experience that first one had with whatever it was afraid of, and they would start being afraid of it as well. Even though they had never had that trauma or negative experience, whatever it was. And I've seen that with dogs too. My parents had a dog. They had a few dogs when I was growing up, and a couple of them were totally fine with thunder and lightning, never a problem. And then suddenly one came in that was terrified of thunderstorms and would just bark and bark. And then the other dogs picked up on that, and then they started being afraid of it, even though, they had been totally fine before. This is weird how fear and anxiety works that way, and I'm sure there's a survival component to that of mammals keeping each other safe by being afraid of, whatever the thing was that screamed danger to one of them. But we have to also be mindful of is this a realistic fear? As humans we can do that. Other animals can't necessarily do that. Is this a realistic fear that I'm having? Is my brain being rational here? What are the realistic risks of this? Just kind of reality testing that. What are the odds of this thing happening? Is it something I can control? Something I can't control? If I can do something about it, what's reasonable to do about it? What's going to be the most likely thing that will happen if I do this? If it's something I can't control, what do I think is most likely going to happen, and what can I do about my response to the thing I can't control? took me a bit to figure out the placement of the plates and stuff. I wanted to get them as much as I could onto those just lower two shelves because they're really heavy, and I didn't want like the whole china cabinet being taken over by China. I don't know. Like the fine china. That's what I'm talking about. Obviously not the country. And I like haven't eaten breakfast yet when I filmed this. I just went right into cleaning because I was really excited when I woke up. I just wanted to get right on it as soon as my daughter went off to school. And I'm glad I did. It was very satisfying. And then right before I started recording, I ate some spicy chicken fingers, which is, I guess, a great breakfast. Well, it's kind of low in calories, actually. The stuff that I found. It's like 5 pieces for 210 calories, which I don't know that I should be tracking that so much. And then sometimes I think I should be, but whatever. I got my Lift Like a Krogan shirt on. I've been wearing that more often lately because it had been a while since I wore it. And I used to be really into the game Mass Effect. So that's what that's from. I'm like trying to figure out what to put next. Like what makes sense to get in there first. Because I'm putting some of the pictures or like that tray in the back. So just kind of be like a visual thing in the back where it fits, where I can see it displayed, but also fit other things on those shelves. And my photo books from different things. Interestingly enough, I keep the photo books I care the most about in our if there's like a hurricane emergency bag, because that's me when I was a kid, and it's funny because I'm dressed very male, and maybe that should have been a sign that I was trans. I was surprised how many people were surprised about that. But yeah, I tend to keep the stuff that I care about like not on display in the common areas. And maybe that says something about my personality. But like the stuff I really care about, like document-wise, or like the photo books, I keep in the hurricane bag so that like in case there's an emergency, a hurricane, or even a tornado, like it's all right there to grab. And then I keep the like books that I really like in the guest room, and then I put the ones I don't like as much on display out in the living room, which maybe that's kind of bizarre. I guess most people like to display the things they like the most. Even with my Transformers, like I'll keep the ones that are my daughter's out on display, like in the living room, and then I prefer to keep my own, except for like the ones I don't care about as much. I still care about them, but there's a hierarchy. I'll keep them out on display in the living room. Yeah, I guess that's probably also a lot like my personality in real life. I like to not share as much the things that I care about. I don't know, like I'll talk about my daughter because I care about her, and I'll talk about my husband, I care about him, but a lot of like my personal qualities or like deep interests I won't talk about as much. And I don't really talk about my personal life much at work. Even obviously not to clients. I've never really shared about my personal life with clients, but like even coworkers at the agencies I've been at, I really don't share much about my personal life. And they're always like surprised when I years later tell them I have a kid or something. They're like, "Oh, I never knew." Or, "Oh, I didn't even know you were married." Meanwhile, I've been wearing a wedding ring, but I guess they just don't notice it. It's kind of subtle. And I think maybe part of that is like I'm protective because I don't know if people are going to be transphobic or homophobic. But then once you get to know me, and then that's probably why people call me reserved, which I don't find myself reserved. A lot of people that barely know me say I'm like soft-spoken and reserved. I decided to get rid of those mugs because I've literally never used them, even though they're really cute. There's like 4 of them for Christmas time. But it's time to downsize on that because I've literally never used it. Yeah. So it's me being a little bit guarded and being safe. I got that goblet in high school. And I don't know. You never know like what kind of damage someone's going to do, whether it's just like saying something awful. Because I have had a lot of really bad experiences in workplaces, well, mainly just one workplace, where people were very openly transphobic and homophobic, and they would say just awful things about how much they hated trans people, and like they wouldn't even let a gay person use the same gender bathroom, and they were trying to stop that, and I had to call the head person at that company and say like they're trying to prevent this child from using the bathroom of the same gender just because they're gay or bi or whatever it was they were. Which I know I'm just purposely covering up details. But it's just really an awful place to work. Like I was having panic attacks, and I tried as much as I could to make it a healthier environment for the kids, but there were certain people who were just so committed, I think, to being the way they were that I couldn't mentally do it for my own well-being anymore. And they did try to get me to stay on, which was kind of weird because I had been asking for a while, like, hey, can I work full-time here? I'm trying to make some more money. And then I went to start my grad school internship, and that's why the reason I ended up quitting was like I can't do both. So I always feel like I have to have some reason for quitting rather than just my own health, which shouldn't be a thing. But anyway, so they were saying like, oh, you can work full time now. And I'm like, sorry, it's kind of too late. I'm heading out. That was just not a great place to work. There were some like really supportive people there, which made it hard because there were people who helped me in coming out and transitioning. And interestingly enough, I first came out as agender, and then realized fully like, no, I'm just a trans guy. And that was a whole process of trying to stop repressing so much, because I'd been repressing that whole side of my identity my whole life. And it helped to have like some supportive people there. But the ones who were unsupportive just made it such a hostile environment. And I didn't want to like do anything about it, punitively, because I'm just not that type of person, I guess. But I did want to correct things as much as I could in like a positive way. So at the very least, the head person did back me up when I would say things like, hey, they need to be letting this child use the same gender bathroom as other people their gender. You can't just keep them from using that bathroom just because they're queer. And he agreed that was inappropriate for staff to be making rules about that. And I said like the best work environment I had, it was like a contracted position, but I swear it like healed me from all the places I'd been that were super toxic. And I even said that to the people I worked with. I'm like, thank you for healing me of the trauma of the other places, because they were just like so healthy, and I'd never had such a healthy work environment anywhere, and I haven't had such a healthy work environment anywhere since. I don't know if I ever will again, other than, working for myself now. My husband watches this, or listens to rather, this podcast. He calls him Navy SEAL guy. I think the actual name is like Jocko or something, but he talks about the person, and I think it's the same podcast, like going into workplaces and basically telling them, everything they're doing wrong to their employees and helping them fix it and stuff. This is where I decide that, I have these things that I saved that are Harry Potter-esque. So it's like a cup from Universal and the gillyweed water from Universal. And I've just decided at this point, I'm so done with Harry Potter just because of J.K. Rowling. And it makes me sad. It's been hard to part with my Harry Potter things. But every time I look at it, I'm just reminded of all the horrible things that woman has said, and it just makes me too sad to have it. I don't know. I don't know how other people feel about it, how you guys feel about it. Those are like little tiles that when we were trying to decide on the flooring to put down, we got the samples, and I didn't want to just throw them out. They actually match really well with the table. So I've been looking for those. I guess they were stuck in that china cabinet somewhere. And I like them as serving platter things. Not platter, but like a little place to put the serving dish on when you're setting the table. Not that I really set the table that often, but they look neat. I like them. And it's a good way to reuse something instead of tossing it. But yeah, so I've been trying to get rid of all my mementos of Harry Potter, even though it's the sentimental stuff, and I don't know, it's sad, but it is what it is. That's a little clay drum thing that my friend made for me a long time ago. I found some binoculars in there. I was gonna put those in my daughter's room. I also put her shell collection into her room instead of keeping it there. Now those are little statues of dogs that types of dogs that I used to have. So I had a miniature schnauzer and a German shepherd growing up, and then we had 3 border collies, which were great. And that's why border collies probably became my favorite type of dog, and then German shepherd's my second favorite. Those are just little memories of them. I think about getting rid of the statues sometimes, but then I don't know. I enjoy them. I'm probably going to get the lower portion of the china cabinet area in my chemical closet video when I clean that out, which will probably be the next ones, just since it's right there in the dining room. Oh, little dragon. But this was enough for me. It took an hour and a half or something. A little music box that was my grandmother's. A lot of that china in there is my grandmother's. Well, they were my multiple grandmother's stuff. And then that little dog statue I painted to look like one of the border collies we had, which was a red merle. And those red merle are super pretty. I really like how that looks. I made that little clay thing a long time ago as a kid. So I'm surprised I've kept some of the things I made as a kid. That I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do with that? There's nowhere really great to put it, but I don't want to throw it out. I end up deciding hey, this could be a belt that my daughter can wear if she wants it. And then I don't even know what that thing is. It's some sort of memento an aunt gave me. I some random little ball from a trip souvenir that I didn't even go on. Someone brought it back, gave it to me. And then sometimes you just want to keep a really nice rock. You find some really great rocks, and they feel good and look good, and you Just want those rocks in your life. I don't know how universal that feeling is either. And I felt like a pencil in there. I'm like, what is this pencil doing in there? Why? Who put a pencil in the china cabinet? That's strange. I kept like some locks of hair. I don't know why. I guess as a memento or whatever. And that's a little bracelet that someone in kindergarten made me. I think it was like the first good friend I ever had made that bracelet for me. He and I used to sit under the playground and make sandcastles and stuff. So all my friends before that just hadn't treated me right. They hadn't been really good friends. So I'm finally done, and I'm so happy with how it looks now. It looks so much more organized and pretty. So thank you guys for joining me on this. I'm really happy. Bye.